Here's 5 key elements to wealth preservation. I'm Bob DePasquale from Initiate Impact Virtual Family Offices. Let's dive right in. Wealth can be defined in many different ways. But what's most important to us here at Initiate Impact Virtual Family Offices is that wealth is considered an abundance of something. It could be money, and we work with financials all the time, but it could also be influence. It could be other possessions. It could be your business. It could be love, family, and connections. And it's very important to preserve those things, and that's why we're talking about wealth preservation today. We will focus on the financial aspects, but these lessons can be applied across disciplines. The reason why we want to focus on the financial aspect today is that data shows that 70% of wealth is lost by the second generation when a family transfers it. And then by the third generation, 90% is gone. Those are some staggering statistics that you don't want your family to be subject to. The first element I want to talk about is communication. It's so important to schedule regular communication amongst family members so that different generations can talk about their values. And it doesn't mean the values have to be exactly the same. It just means that they need to talk about them and consider what the family's legacy will be as wealth transfers from generation to generation. Have routine family meetings, talk consistently, and document what goes on there. Never forget those important conversations. And sometimes the conversations aren't very technical. Sometimes it's just enjoyable to bring up some camaraderie in the family and have a good time together. So when you have a meeting, don't make it all about the numbers. Make it about enjoying your relationships with one another. And I promise you the numbers will be memorable, especially if you document them. The second one is about purchases. Now I know you probably have some non-discretionary expenses. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. There's a lot of expenses that your family has in your business and all of the different things that you have to pay for to keep the family running. But what about the things that are non-discretionary, those extra things? Be wise with them. Try to make wise financial decisions. Treat it just as important as your business and the other things that you spend so much time thinking about and trying to make wise decisions and working really hard for it. So with the non-discretionary expenses, use your intellect in the same intelligence and desire that you use in your business. I think you'd be surprised how much wealth you can preserve by just making wise decisions. I mentioned at the top of the video all about the different forms of wealth. Well, if we want to preserve our financial wealth, what are we going to do with all that extra value and those resources? How do we want to be a good steward of it? In some cases, it's giving it away. And you might say, well, that's not preserving my wealth. That's giving it away. Well, actually, it might be giving away some financial wealth, but you'll be gaining fulfillment and joy. And exercising your generosity can be a great way to have emotional wealth and psychological wealth. And it feels really good to make those connections. So the third element is actually having a charitable giving plan so that you can balance the financial wealth and the emotional wealth. Number 4 is to stay engaged. And this one kind of goes with the communication aspect because there will no doubt be some members of your family who may not want to watch a video like this or may not want to do research into preserving wealth. But if you keep them engaged, at least help them understand what the purpose or the desires of the rest of the family are, they'll be able to help in some capacity in one way or another. And they'll be able to stay on top of rules and laws. And you don't have to know everything, but as long as you understand what's going on and how the system and our economy and the world are working, it can be very, very helpful when trying to make other decisions, such as the ones I mentioned previously. The 5th element is to seek professional advice. And this one might go without saying, especially if you have a business in a complicated family financial situation. But I need to stress this, that there's plenty of professionals out there who specialize in different areas. And if you have a complex situation, you're going to want to talk to the right people in the right area so you can concentrate on the communication and that positive family time, the charitable giving, all those things that will bring you wealth in other forms. And that way, the professionals will be handling those things. And you need to understand it. You need to understand the latest things going on, like I mentioned in the 4th element. But having the professional advice and help and professional execution is so valuable. Having an abundance of something can be a big responsibility, especially if you have the desire to be a good steward of whatever it is. And you never know when you might come into an abundance of something. It could be a financial inheritance, or you can get asked to do something, or find yourself in an extremely influential situation. So having some ideas or some elements on how to preserve wealth is extremely valuable. So you're going to want to do that. Talk with your family about it. talk about the financials, talk about the influence, spend that time together, and build those wealth preservation foundations. I'm Bob DePasquale from Initiate Impact Virtual Family Offices, wishing you a generous rest of your day.